Here we go.
Right. Welcome back to our F1 video this week. We've decided to do this because it just makes life easier and you don't have to watch an hour-long episode. So, please enjoy this F1 video. First of all, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, comment, and turn on our post notifications. Check out our links in the descriptions for our other social media pages down below. We are trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of this year. If we hit that, we will be doing a giveaway to 5 people instead of 1. So, yes, please subscribe. And keep a lookout for any of our other videos coming up and our normal podcast video. So first things first, our constructor standings. They are getting pretty close. McLaren is at 640, Ferrari is at 619, Red Bull is at 581, Mercedes is at 446, and Aston Martin is at 92. And then our driver standings is Max is at 429, Lando is at 349, Charles is at 341, Oscar is at 291, Carlos is at 272, George is at 235, Hamilton is at 211, Checo is at 152, Fernando is at 68, and Hulkenberg is at 37. And now to our QATAR. Did I say that wrong? QATAR recap. I said coat, and I was like, that's not right. Again, my brain isn't working. It's a shocker, I'm a nurse.
Guys, this weekend, I could just scream about. Honestly, I could just scream about it. So it started off good, right? So, starting off with quali, everything looked good for the McLarens. They actually had a different strategy than anyone else going into the qualifying for the sprint. And so actually what they would do during each qualifying round, so they would wait and let the other cars take a lap or 2 laps before sending their drivers out. So the track evolution initially was crazy. Like, it just kept changing and people kept getting faster and faster. So this strategy actually helped McLaren because they pretty much topped it the qualifying rounds every single time, pretty much. So yeah, that was great. And then they locked out 1-2 to start the race, I believe. Well, not the race, but they locked out the 1-2 to start the sprint, I believe. Let me just double check that. Just kidding. Oh, I was wrong. Ignore me. So actually, George got second place for the initial starting, but then Osk overtook him. I think it was one of the first couple turns there, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. Lando then had the lead. He pretty much had it the entire sprint, and then right before the finish line, he actually let Oscar win to repay him for letting Lando win in Brazil. So I thought that was nice. I might have shed a tear or two over that, because I was not expecting that to happen whatsoever. But Lando said he was planning on doing it before the race, and I didn't even think about that. So that was nice. And then George finished third, followed by Carlos, Charles, and Lewis. Max got 8th, so he still got a point from the sprint. But Checo finished dead last because he did not pull out of the pit lane, and then Franco just went around him because he was just caught napping. So that was the sprint. We're to the race. So qualifying for the race. I don't know what the heck happened, but when I say it looks like the McLarens lost a majority of their pace, it was not very good. I don't know what happened. I don't know how Max got that provisional pole, but somehow he did. That lap was crazy. Then George was behind him. Now here's where some controversy happens yet again. So apparently Max was driving unnecessarily slow. And George called him out on this and got him to lose a grid place due to a penalty. So then that gave George pole. Now Max came out after this race and was like on fire about this. Like, when I say he was mad, he was like, it looked like what happened when him and Esteban had their little thing. I legit thought that that was gonna happen. And apparently he unfollowed George on Instagram. So, yeah.
That's
Max came
crazy.
out and was like, he's a completely different person in front of the cameras. He's lost my respect for sure. And I was like, oh, that's great. So, yeah, there was something going on between them, and my gosh. And so
Was
that was good.
George right for calling him out on driving slow? Because it did look like he was driving slow when I looked in on it, but I might have just saw something different.
But the thing is, George wasn't on a push lap, so he didn't impede him. Yeah, like, it
I'm gonna let
shouldn't have
them
gone
have
on
that
Max,
little fight for
but
themselves.
yeah, it was not. But anyways, that's controversy number whatever for this weekend.
Yeah.
So now the McLarens got 3 and 4, so they locked out the second row. So this is where we will start our race recap. So going down to turn 1. Keep in mind this stuff with George and Max. George comes this way, Max is coming this way. What happens? They both go this way. Who does that allow to come in? Lando. So then Max pulls away, so it's Max 1, Lando 2, George 3. Well, Oscar is on George's tail now, and that's a whole thing. But going down into turn 1, Esteban Ocon and Franco Colapinto had a collision, which stewards ruled was caused by Nico Hulkenberg. So you can see Nico is on the hard tire. He's the only one starting on the hard tire because of his bad qualifying session. They should have changed his battery out before qualifying yesterday, and they did not, so he did it on a bad battery, and that cost him. And he was starting deep in the grid. So Nico caused that crash, so then Ocon and Colapinto DNF'd right off the bat. And then we keep going for a little bit, and then Stroll got a 10-second penalty for causing a collision with Alex. And then there were like 3 different safety cars. Lewis got a 5-second false start penalty because he jumped a little bit at the light when the lights were going off, and he apologized for that to the team over the radio. And then Liam Lawson got a 10-second penalty for causing a collision again. Then later on, it was like lap 29, lap 30, his mirror on his car fell off, and then they waited forever to give a safety car, and then Valtteri ran over it. And who's the car behind him? Lewis. Who's the car behind Lewis? Carlos. What happens to both of those going down the main straight where he ran over the glass? They both get a puncture. So then they call for the safety car. And then after that, on the restart, Checo DNF'd because he lost the car on drive. He spun around, and yeah, it was not great.
It was a hot mess.
And then a couple turns behind him, Nico Hulkenberg beached his car, so it was just like, yep, another safety car, here we go. And then on top of that, so apparently the safety car lights within the actual cars themselves on the dash, the lights were malfunctioning or something because all of the drivers were saying, well, the safety car's ending, but we still have the lights on. Do we go? Do we not go? Like, what's going on? So then both times Max was driving slowly and Lando was like, come on, like, but yeah. And so back to the mirror on the main straight. So here's the controversy. So they kept changing what flag needed to be out, whether it was a yellow, a double yellow, or a green. Apparently there was a red thrown in there at one point, but I never saw it.
I didn't see it in the recap.
Oh, Lando got a 10-second stop and go penalty for failing to slow under the yellows. However, I watched back his footage and I don't think he deserves the penalty. Number one, I was watching his onboard the entire time and he was never told about the yellows and needing to slow down. Number two, I was looking around and I could not see the double yellow flags. Just like I'm scanning both sides. I'm like, where's the double yellow? But when you slow it down, you can see it on his onboard, but I couldn't see it initially. But I mean, I'm not trained to look for that.
See it, yeah.
But even then, you would think that his engineer would come on and be like, yo, there's yellows up in this sector. So yeah, I don't think he deserved it because of that. And then, here's my other point with this. Neither of the Ferraris did the same thing. They just kept going through. And that was after that, and that was after the double yellows, and they didn't get any penalties. So just to put it all on Lando does not help. And here's what ticks me off the most about this. They waited forever to give out this penalty. So this happened early on. So again, like lap 29, lap 30. And they didn't hand it out until like lap 42 or something like that. And a stop and go penalty, they said you have to serve it within the next 3 laps. So he lost 35 seconds of the race.
Yeah.
He had great driving at the end to come out and finish P10 and get fastest lap. But that just shows, like, I don't think that he deserved that. And you took away from him and Max racing again. Because at that point, it had been Max 1, Lando 2, and that penalty took him completely out of that. Just seeing his raw pace at the end, like coming out of that pit stop because everyone was bunched up together because of all the safety cars. He came back from a 10-second gap, I think, to Liam Lawson. Or maybe it was Alex. And eventually climbed the entire way up to P10. So that just goes to show you he had the pace, and they really shouldn't have taken him out with that penalty, and I think it was extremely harsh.
I wasn't able to watch the whole thing. It was a very busy weekend for me, holidays. But from what I saw, I have to agree with M, and I'm not just agreeing with M because I like Lando, I like Oscar, I like McLaren. But just if we're being honest, like I've said this about multiple racers, penalties, if you're gonna place one on someone, you gotta follow through with the rest of them if they've done the same thing and put it on one person. There's been multiple penalties that have been given who were given unfairly to multiple racers, and I don't know. I think that situation wasn't handled correctly, and if we're gonna give that a penalty, we should look at the Ferraris.
But anyways, continuing on with the controversy. So, Lewis drove through the pit lane and was then told to retire the car after he drove through. And then he didn't retire the car and he continued the race. So what went down was he asked to retire the car. He went through the pit lane and got told you're not retiring, you gotta keep going. So he goes through, he does another lap, he comes into the pit lane again, he serves his 5-second penalty he got for the false start, and then he continues to race.
He said, it's my race, not your race, and I'm gonna do whatever I want. And you just have to deal with it.
I mean, it is his second to last race with Mercedes.
Let the man race. If his car isn't in big trouble, let him race out his last 2 races for the year. My gosh.
But he seemed really ticked off and like he did not want to race, but that's just me. And then we have to give our hats off to Zhou Guanyu for scoring Sauber's first points this season. He finished in 8th place. Just a little fun fact about this. Joe actually has scored more points than Checo has in the last 4 races combined. At 4 points,
Respect.
ironically. Yeah.
You get it. You deserved it.
And then, like I said, Lando finished P10, and he got fastest lap, so it wasn't all a waste. At least he got 2 points. And then Alex got a 10-second penalty for causing a collision somewhere, and then George ended up getting a 5-second penalty for a safety car infringement. So the final order was Max in first, Charles in second, Oscar in third, because remember Lando got that 10-second penalty that he had to serve, and that dropped him down. And then after Oscar, it was George, then Pierre, then Carlos, Fernando, Joe, K-Mag, Lando, Valtteri, Lewis, Yuki, Liam, and Alex. And the people that DNF'd were Nico, Checo, Lance, Franco, and Esteban. So speaking of Esteban, there are rumors that he has raced his last race with Alpine. And the rumors are saying that Jack Doohan is going to race in Abu Dhabi instead of Esteban.
Yeah.
I
I don't
have
know how I
mixed
feel about that.
feelings. Yeah.
Let the man race his last race. My goodness.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I get that he has a contract for next season. Like, if this was K-Mag making way for Ollie, I'd be like, let the man race. But I feel like it's different. And knowing that Jack is driving for them next year, I guess you could make the case for Ollie and Nico, but yeah,
Who's
I just don't
racing
know.
for Ferrari with Charles? Have they said anything?
No, I don't believe so. I've seen stuff that it's gonna be Arthur,
Oh.
but I don't know for sure. I don't think that they've announced anything concrete yet.
Yeah. There's something to leave in the comments. Who do you think is gonna race with Charles this weekend?
P1. And then Max is the first F1 driver to become world champion with a car that's third or worse in the constructors' standings in over 40 years. So that's crazy that it's been 40 years since having a world champion with the third or worst car on the track.
Respect, I get it.
And then Franco's crash was the 16th crash of the season for Williams. So I just wanted to be known that Franco was running old specs on his car. So if you saw his qualifying time for the sprint, you would make sense, right? So why is everyone defending him, and why wasn't people defending Logan like they did for Franco? But anyways.
I mean, let's be real here. Williams are toxic people.
Yeah,
They
I'm
don't.
just waiting for James to come out and be like, somehow make it like relevant to Logan.
Yeah. It's Logan's fault. It'll always be his fault. I secretly don't like him, so I blame him for everything. Anyways, so now to podium predictions. Our last week's predictions. So it had Lando in first, Max in second, George in third, and Oscar in fourth. I'm actually kind of sad to even say mine because I had Lando in first, George in second, Carlos in third, and Max in fourth. I'll give it to myself that at least I had Max in my top 4. Everyone else weren't even close. So, feeling great about my picks. At this point, I'm so discouraged. I don't know what to pick. And I don't want to say, honestly, I'm gonna, well, I can say this. Abu Dhabi circuit is a high downforce, fast high and sweeping speed corners, but also low speed corners. So I guess we have to keep that in mind when we're picking. So last year's results, if we're gonna compare from last year, Max was in first, Charles was in second, George was in third, Checo was in fourth, and Lando was in fifth. So go from there. I want to hope that Lando gets his redemption, but I don't know. Okay.
See what time it's gonna be.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and take Checo out of the mix.
Well, I'd hope so. Well, I have my podium prediction. I'm not really happy to say this, but I am gonna go with George in first, Max in second, and Carlos in third.
If that helps. Okay, what did you say? You said George, Max, Carlos? Okay. I was gonna say Max, George, and then Charles. I wanna say Carlos just because I love him, but I don't know. The
You
last time I said
said
Carlos.
Charles first.
What?
You said Charles first.
No, I'll keep Charles. Here's our video. I hope you like our podium predictions. Please don't forget to do yours in the comments below, because you'll probably do better than me, apparently, because that's what I'm seeing currently. Someone predicted Max would win. I don't remember who it was. I just saw the comment pop up, and then it was a busy weekend. So if I find your comment, I'll add it. But please keep a lookout for any of our upcoming videos this week. Again, I wish you guys a happy holidays and a happy soon to be more holidays ahead of us. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you think that Lando did deserve the stop and go penalty. Comment your podium predictions for this week. Like I said, check out our links in the descriptions for our other social media pages. We have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. We are now trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of this year. If we hit it, we will be doing the giveaway to 5 people instead of 1. So yeah, hope you liked our video.
Also, I'm gonna put Lando in fourth because I need him to finish ahead of Charles for the second place in the driver's standings, but that's just me. Anyways.
No, I need him to too. No.